Hi everybody, my name is Bob Saunders and I've been asked by quite a number of people if I would talk to you about how to contact your guides. So that's what this little video is about. Now, as I was making a few notes, preparing in my mind what I wanted to say to you, I decided to have a look on internet at what other people had little videos other people had made on the subject of contacting guides, and I was quite surprised to find that a number of them said that what they do is they sort of sit down quietly somewhere, sort of almost start to do a meditative thing. They start to relax and they just ask a question of their guides and they sort of sit there and wait and hope to receive an answer. Well, that's not at all the way I was taught, so I'm not criticising them. I don't know what they managed to get back, but the way I was taught, you can actually have conversations with guides. You can do it if you bother to learn what I'm going to tell you how to do. You can actually have conversations backwards and forwards, just as if the person was sitting next to you, or if they were on the telephone. We all have this ability. It's called telepathy. Now, telepathy, I've got notes as usual, and the definition of telepathy is the ability to communicate with someone without using physical means, without actually speaking to them, in other words. Now, as I just mentioned, telepathy is part of the human traits. We've all got this ability to use what are known as the gifts of the spirit. They are telepathy, telekinesis, I don't know, there's all sorts of things that you can learn to do. And telepathy is a very important one. The trouble is, it takes two. For instance, if I've bothered to learn telepathy, I can only communicate with someone that has themselves learned telepathy. And it's almost impossible to demonstrate to somebody like yourself that's watching this video, because I can't possibly prove that I'm not lying to you. For instance, if I said to you, oh, I'm going to contact my guides, and I say even if I say the thing out loud, because it all happens like through my mind, there's nothing using the ears at all. But if I say to you, oh, I'm going to ask them such and such a question, and then 2 minutes later I tell you what their answer was, you'll say, I've just made it up. My wife's telepathy, because we're both mediums, we both learnt to do it. Now, she's in another room, and if I said to you, oh, I'm going to send her a message, and you think I was lying anyway. So I can't actually prove to you that telepathy works. You either accept that it does or you don't. I can tell you that it does work, and it's a very useful, not so much gift, it's a very useful tool that you can develop, and we can all develop it. Now, as I said, telepathy enables us to communicate with people. They can be anywhere. They can be in miles away on Earth. They can be in another dimension as our spirit guides. And what we're actually doing, as far as I'm aware, it can only be done through meditation, because what happens is, as and when we meditate, we gradually fill our various auras, that I'm sure you know we've all got, we gradually fill our auras with spiritual power. And then we can take our thoughts through our mind out into our auras, and then I can reach out with one of my auras and touch the aura of somebody else that has also learnt telepathy, touch that person's auras, then the information is transferred into the mind of that person. So it goes from me through an aura into that person's aura and into their minds, and we can have a backwards and forwards conversation in real time. It's instant. There's no limitation on distance. Auras can reach out enormous distances, but you can't do it until you've developed the auras. You have to develop power in your auras. And the only way to do that, unfortunately, is through meditation. So if you're prepared to sit, if you really want to contact your guides and have them contact you, and it can be very advantageous so to do, you can learn a lot from guides. The only real way that I know that you can do it is through long months of meditation, and it does take months. It's not meditate 3 times and you got it. It takes a long time to fill your auras with spiritual power, and so you need a lot of patience and perseverance, and then one day with a bit of luck it will start to happen. I'll quickly tell you how I was taught telepathy. Going back many years, when I first started to get into the meditation stuff, I used to just sit and try and blank my mind, this kind of Buddhist type meditation, and all of a sudden, for over a period of time, it happened quite a lot for a certain period of time, I found that with my eyes shut, just sitting in a chair, I would suddenly fly off somewhere, and I would sort of look down, and sometimes I would find myself over cities or over deserts and over seas, and what's going on? Sometimes I would find myself what appeared to be in the past, sometimes what appeared to be in the future, and I was flying about all over the place, day after evening as I meditated. And at that time I had not developed telepathy, so I had no means of contacting any guides. To be honest, I didn't even know it was possible to contact guides, because there was like no information about it as there is today. And so I would sit there and wonder what on earth was going on, and then eventually, after a few days of doing this, I suddenly had the desire to write down what I was experiencing. So I got myself a pad, like this thing, and after each meditation I would go into another room where there was a little table and sit and start to write down what I'd experienced, this journey, this flying about thing. And I would find it difficult, because if this little journey lasted, 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, it was difficult for me to remember the beginning part of it, because it was fairly back in my mind. So I would sort of struggle and try and remember what was going on. Then all of a sudden, I would find the words would flow easily, and I would just sort of sit there and scribble away with a pen, and the story would come out just as I'd experienced it. But it wasn't really entirely me that was doing it, but I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know that automatic writing existed, and so I later found out, of course, that what was happening was that when I was meditating, my guides were taking me off in my etheric or astral body, I don't know, and giving me an experience, because they were then pushing me to write it all down. And then, as I was doing so, one of them would take over my mind and do this kind of automatic writing and finish the story off for me. The idea being that they wanted to strengthen this link between them and me, this thing we call telepathy. Okay? Now, at that time, I had no idea what was going on. It was just some weeks or months later, when I developed this ability to do this, and I developed the ability to talk back to them through my mind, that they told me what was happening. Now, I tell you all that because if you take the trouble to meditate so that you can contact your guides, you will surely be taught some means of being able to do it. It won't be the same as the way I was taught. I'm sure there must be other ways, and they'll find a way that's suitable for you. I'm just telling you how it happened to me. I don't quite know how my wife developed telepathy. We've never really talked about it, but she would probably have a different story to me, but she was taught it anyway, which goes back really to what I was saying at the beginning, that these people who sort of, without any prior training just sit down and say that they're contacting their guides. I'm not sure. That's their problem. If you follow what I've just said here, you will be able to talk to your guides, and you will be able to actually talk as if it's all done in your mind. You don't use words, but you can have a conversation with them that could last 3 or 4 or 5 minutes or half an hour, whatever, however long it needs to take place. You can actually talk backwards and forwards, and it works. But it can only be done, in my opinion, through meditation, filling your auras with power, and then reaching out, and your spirit guides, who will have already undergone similar training, will be able to talk to you. Okay, I hope it made sense. Any questions, please contact me. I will be very pleased to answer what I can. And thank you very much for listening to me. I'll speak to you again another day on another topic. Bye.